All right, motherfuckers, from the Air and Smoke Break, where we cut through the bullshit and lay out the raw truth on this crumbling empire of the world. It is March 2026, and if you thought the globe was stabilizing after last year's clusterfucks, think again. We are diving deep into the hot zones. Myanmar's endless civil war grind, Ukraine flipping the script on Putin's meat grinder, Africa's extremist hellholes where Christians are getting hunted like animals, and the Middle East powder keg that's been brewing since cavemen were drawing gods on walls. We'll close this out with a balls to the wall update on the Iran shit show, because that's the fire that is burning hottest right now. Why now? Because while the media jerks off to celebrity drama, real empires are rising and falling. And yeah, we are going historical, thousands of years back, because today's wars didn't start with some tweet. They are echoes of ancient beefs. Grab your seat, buckle up, this ain't for the faint of heart. Let's rip into Myanmar first. Imagine a country where the military is so desperate they are rationing fuel because the Middle East shit show jacked up oil prices. While rebels are carving out chunks of territory like it's a goddamn buffet, that is Myanmar right now. 5 years, post-coup, and it is still a bloodbath. This mess traces back to ancient kingdoms, who were duking it out over rice paddies and trade routes 2,000 years ago. Fast forward, British colonialism in the 1800s lumped all these ethnic groups. You got Burmese, Karen, Shan, Kachin, into just one big fucked up pie, ignoring centuries of tribal wars. Independence in 48? Just swapped one oppressor for another. The military's been running the show since the 60s, crushing minorities like the Rohingya. Remember that genocide in 2017? Echoes of ancient ethnic cleansing straight out of Southeast Asia's bloody playbook. As of March 26, the Wanadas grasping, they've pardoned thousands of prisoners to pad their ranks. Political detainees, not Aung San Suu Kyi, because fuck democracy, right? Airstrikes killed 17 in Rakhine last week. Arakan armies pushing back hard. Fuel shortages from the Middle East war have lines snaking for miles. Grenada's banning half the cars from roads starting this weekend. Elections? They held that sham in December. January, violence spiked. Observers called it bullshit. Wagner Group's ghosts linger. Russian mercs helped the Grenada, but now it's all unraveling. Rebels are winning ground. Kachin Independence Army and PDF seized a major dam in Saganyang last month, coordinating like pro. They're learning. And Karanetti, I believe that's pronounced, Grenada clawed back Hot Salwung, but it's pirate losses everywhere for them. Sorry, Grenada, but not sorry. Hot Madal's conscripting kids. Morale's in the toilet. This ain't ending soon. It is a slow bleed into balkanization. Bottom line, Myanmar's the perfect storm of colonial hangover and modern greed. If the Grenada falls, watch China swoop in for those resources next. Now we're going to dive into Ukraine, where the underdog is still biting hard. Territory flip and ally cash. Putin's nightmare. You heard that stat. Ukraine's gained more ground than Russia's taken since 2024. Over 200 square kilometers in February alone. While Putin's waving nukes, he's turning the tide. This war's entering year 5, and it's not the steamroll Moscow promised. Ukraine's story starts with Kievan Rus in the 9th century, ancient Slavic powerhouse that also birthed Russia. Mongols wrecked it in the 1200s, then Poles, Lithuanians, and Russia carved it up like a pie. Cossacks uprising in the 1600s, crushed World War II, Stalin starved millions in the Holodomor 30s, then Nazis and Soviets turned it into a killing field. Independence in 91, Putin sees it as a lost province. Hence the 2014 Crimea grab and full invasion in 22. It's millennia of big brother bullshit. Updates. March 26. Russia's grinding but bleeding out. ISW reports minimal advances. Ukraine's retaken chunks in Donbass south and north. Surisky says February gains were highest since Kursk 24 incursion. 126 square kilometers lost, but more reclaimed. Casualties? Russia lost 35,000 a month in 2025. Now it's pushing 50,000. Ukraine's Flamingo missiles hit deep, like that Volt-Tense arms factory 800 miles in. Allies stepping up. U.S. paused direct aid under Trump, but Europe's filling the gap. $90 billion loan for 26 to 27. Germany, $11.5 billion. NATO, $15 billion more. PURL, programs pumping Patriot missiles. 7 euros bought, $2 billion in U.S. gear. Ramstein's format, co-led by UK, Germany now. Total pledges, $48 billion, fresh military aid. Czech shells, 760,000 paid for. Russia's hitting back. Drones on Dnipropetrovsk. But Ukraine struck Novokosk port, sinking ships again. Black Sea fleets wrecked. LNG tanker torched off Malta. Putin's all the cards? Bullshit. Ukraine's exposing Russia's rot. Kamikaze waves for inches. If allies keep the flow, this could drag Putin down. But Trump's whispers of land swaps? Fuck that. Hive ain't folding. While the world is watching Ukraine and the Middle East, extremist violence is exploding across parts of Africa, and entire regions are slipping out of government control. Villages burn, militants expanding territory, governments failing to coups, and most of the world barely hears a word about it. Across the Sahel region, stretching from Mali through Burkina Faso and into Niger, extremist groups linked to jihadist movements have dramatically expanded their operations over the past several years. Militant groups affiliated with organizations like ISIS and Al-Qaeda are carrying out attacks on villages, military convoys, and local government positions. In Burkina Faso alone, extremist violence has displaced millions of civilians as armed groups push deeper into rural areas. In Mali, insurgent groups continue operating across large parts of the country despite years of military operations. And in Niger, one of the West's former key counterterrorism partners, political upheaval and the 2023 military coup dramatically reshaped the security situation. Across these regions, governments are struggling to control territory outside major cities. Large rural areas have effectively become contested zones where militants move freely. And the instability isn't just internal. Foreign powers are now competing for influence across the region, including Western nations trying to counter extremism and Russia expanding its presence through security partnerships and private Wagner military contractors. But here's the part most headlines skip. The crisis didn't just appear out of nowhere. To understand why the Sahel has become one of the most unstable regions on Earth, we need to take a step back for a moment. A lot of instability in this region goes back more than a century. During the colonial period, European powers carved Africa into territories using straight lines on a map. Haven't we heard this before? Borders that often ignored ethnic groups, oh boy, tribal regions, and long-standing motherfucking rivalries. Go fucking figure. Sound like somewhere that's fighting right now? Right now, the Sahel region is becoming one of the most volatile security zones on the planet. Extremist groups continue expanding across parts of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Military governments are trying to consolidate power after coups, and foreign powers are maneuvering for influence as Western counterterrorism operations scale back. The result is a region where governments are struggling to control territory. Millions of civilians have been displaced, and extremist groups continue to grow stronger. And here's my take on it. If the international community keeps ignoring what's happening across the Sahel, the instability there isn't going to stay contained. This is Islamic extremism. I've talked about it. This is not something that you can just let sit idle. Extremist networks don't stay regional. Look at Iran. Look what we're doing right now because of that fact. They spread. And history shows that when regions collapse into sustained instability, the consequences eventually ripple far beyond their borders. Africa isn't just a side story in global geopolitics. It is becoming one of the most important and most overlooked conflict zones of the next decade.
They're dead. The so-called governing council that might have selected a successor, now that the game has started and the blitz is on, they don't know what plays to call, let alone how to get in the huddle and call those plays. Iran's senior leaders are dead. The so-called governing council that might have selected a successor, dead. missing or cowering in bunkers too terrified to even occupy the same room. Senior generals, mid-level officers, enlisted ranks, they can't talk or communicate, let alone mount a coordinated and sustained offensive. That's not great for morale. The Iranian Air Force is no more, built for 1996, destroyed in 2026. The Iranian Navy rests at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. Combat ineffective, decimated, destroyed, defeated, pick your adjective.
Iran regime, decapitation, and global blowback. We are now on day 7 of this glorious push to free the Iranian people. As of the last 48 hours, U.S. and Israel ramped up strikes, sinking more Iranian vessels and hitting proxy hubs in Syria and Lebanon. Mind you, we haven't been sinking ships like this since World War II or at all. Iran retaliated with missile swarms on Gulf allies, but our forces are holding strong and dismantling their terror machine. That's the raw now. Trump's calling it total victory mode. Pete Hegseth says, we are dismantling their terror machine piece by piece. And CENTCOM's General Kurilla affirms, our forces are dominating, ending this threat for good. I believe the exact term used is we have complete air domination and superiority, and we just can move around the air at will. Hello, welcome to America. Yesterday, U.S. drones took out IRGC ammo depots near Tehran. Iran hit back with drones on a Saudi oil field, causing fires and ballistic missiles on a U.S. base in Iraq, wounding troops. Iranian people have always called themselves Iranian. It's the West that slapped Persian on their name. Take Cyrus the Great in 550 BC. He built the Achaemenid Empire from India to Egypt, pioneering humanity in tech with roads, postal systems, and the first charter of human rights. The Cyrus cylinder, crazy for his time, he allowed freedom of religion, letting conquered peoples worship freely, showing just how advanced and tolerant the Iranian spirit is. Twisted today by the regime we are toppling. Current clusterfuck in the last 48 hours. Strike hits Nance. Nuke site again. Ramping up nuclear takedown. Iran's retaliating hard. Missiles on U.S. bases killed at least 2 more Americans yesterday. Total U.S. KIA, now 8 since February 28. Drones on Gulf oil facilities, jacking prices farther. Hezbollah's pounding Israel from Lebanon. IDF reports 4 more soldiers KIA in border clashes. Allied forces, minimal so far. 1 UAE service member dead from Iranian strike on a joint base. No other confirmed. Civilians in allied nations. 22 killed in Saudi, UAE hits. 15 in Israel from cluster munitions near Tel Aviv. For Iran, they claim 1,200 plus civilian deaths. But we can't trust Tehran's propaganda. Independent reports put it around 800 to 1,000, mostly from precision strikes targeting regime strongholds. From the streets in the last 2 days, X-chatter's exploding. Trump's tweet storm yesterday, Iran's regime is done. Freedom for Persians. Got 5 million likes. Hegseth on Fox. Our brave troops are heroes. Ending this threat for good. Protests in Tehran swelling with chants against the interim council. Iranians rising up. U.S. Marine vets online cheering, finally hitting the source. Hawks like Senator Fetterman posting sunk Iranian ship bids with good riddance. Energy props warning $90 a barrel, oil by week's end if Hormuz stays choked. But that's the price of freedom. This ain't just about bombs. It's a liberation play. Trump eyeing Iran's oil to crush Russia and China alliances while freeing the people from extremist chains. Iran's scorched earth desperation, hitting global economy to cling to power. But it's failing. Regimes teetering, protests flaring, economy hyperinflating. Rial at 1.75 mil in US dollars. If it crumbles, real freedom for Iranians. If not, we keep pushing till it does. China and Russia lose grip. West wins. Biblical beef ending with justice. Nukes be damned. World leaders, pussies and heroes. Praise where it's due. Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz, absolute beast. Standing tall with us. Condemning Iran's bullshit strikes. Ready to defend allies like there's no tomorrow. France's Emmanuel Macron, legend. Hosting our planes, calling out the escalation, but stepping up to deploy resources if needed. These guys get it. Freedom ain't fucking free. And they are backing the U.S. to smash this tyranny. Shout out to Canada, too. Full, broad-throated support. Real allies putting skin in the game. And let me go ahead and just take this moment, because I got to apologize to two countries that I just listed off right here. France, Canada. I'm sorry. I've talked a lot of shit on you guys lately. Especially you, France. I've been talking shit on you since probably 9/11 when y'all were, it was Iraq with the freedom fries. I've been talking shit on y'all ever since. So with that being said, I apologize. You too, Canada. Let's let bygones be bygones. We all know what the fuck we are fighting for, but some don't. Because the real cowards, UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer, what a spineless twat, mouthing off about de-escalation and restraint while Iran's lobbing missiles at our service members, along with his. Dude's chairing emergency meetings like a scared schoolboy, whining about wider conflict, but not condemning shit. And Spain's Pedro Sanchez, total fucking pussy, sitting on the fence with his pro-Iran sympathies, probably crying about sovereignty while his own country's a mess of bureaucracy and bullshit. These fucks don't even truly run free countries, bogged down in EU red tape and woke nonsense. So why the hell would they fight for one? They're too busy virtue signaling to stand up against a real oppressive enemy here. Meanwhile, we are over here doing the heavy lifting. Props to the US and Israel for not blinking. If these wimps had half the balls of Merz and Macron, the world would be a freer place already. Bottom line, Iran is the linchpin. Middle East remaps with freedom. Holds, we grind them down. History's repeating. Empires clash, but this time tyranny loses and civilians win liberty. As a 7-year infantry vet who fought Islamic extremism and have lost friends in uniform, I've waited for this. Exporting terror fucking ends here. World's a powder keg. Myanmar fragmenting, Ukraine surging, Africa exploding, Middle East biblical, and Iran's the detonator we are diffusing. History's the key. Ignore it, repeat it. You can at least admit it rhymes. This is Aaron's Smoke Break. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this raw truth. Till next time, stay vigilant, fuckers. World leaders, pussy and hero.
We must be declared. In Ramadan especially, we must be declared. It is defined by the success, the brilliance, and the creativity in rooms like this, by contribution that Muslims make to Britain's story and to our national life. In public service, you are the face of modern Britain. I know that I love and the Britain that we are. Ramadan Mubarak. Thank you very much.
I think we're all familiar with presidents that have verbal stumbles.
Iran's nuclear threat remains. And now, the United States and Israel have acted without engaging the United Nations or consulting allies, including Canada. So where to from here?